You're good to go, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, we'll call the meeting to order for the city of Saratoga Springs, Tuesday, September 1st, 2020 at 6:01 p.m. I, Jim Miller, the mayor of the city of Saratoga Springs, hereby determine that conducting the city council meeting at an anchor location presents a substantial risk to the health and safety of those who may be present at the anchor location. The World Health Organization, the President of the United States, the Governor of Utah, and the County Health Department have all recognized a global pandemic exists related to the new strain of the coronavirus SARS-CoV-2, COVID-19. Due to the state of emergency caused by a global pandemic, I find that conducting a meeting at an anchor location under the current state of this public health emergency constitutes a substantial risk to the health and safety of those who may be present at this location. This written declaration expires 30 days from the date signed. It's set to expire September 30th, 2020. Now that we have the legalese out of the way, we'll do a call to order. Tonight we have Councilman Porter, Councilman Wilden, Councilman Podeska, Councilman McComber, and Councilman Karn. So we have a quorum. I've asked Councilman Karn to lead us in our invocation and Councilman Podeska to lead us in our pledge.
Our Father in heaven, we are grateful for the opportunity we have as elected leaders of Saratoga Springs to gather and conduct the business of our city. Father, we're grateful for the country we live in and the freedoms we enjoy. Father, we ask a blessing on our residents at this time, that they will continue to receive thy blessings, and a blessing on our first responders, that they will be watched over, protected, and given the guidance they need to fulfill their duties. Father, we humbly pray for these things and do so in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. All right, will those in attendance please repeat the pledge after me, possibly a little bit quiet so that we don't get a lot of reverb. But I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to make a couple changes on the agenda tonight. We're going to jump down to the business items really quick. So we'll start with Wildflower, Major Community Plan Amendment, Hillside Standards. Nate Ship, DAI Utah is the applicant.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for your time and being willing to rearrange the schedule for tonight. This is the same presentation as from the meeting 2 weeks ago, and as I had a few minutes to review the packet, I turn the time over.
Mayor and Council, Tippy's audio kind of faded in and out there a little bit. In essence, if you have any questions, she'd be happy to tackle those. Otherwise, unless you want us to go through the whole presentation again, we'll just keep it brief for you for this evening.
Nope, I think at our last meeting, Councilman Porter had some concerns. I understand, Councilman Porter, you had a chance to talk with the applicant and get those addressed.
Yeah, I'm very appreciative of Nate taking the time to meet with me, go through this proposal, and hopefully we can identify. We're going to work together to identify some of the areas that might be applicable to other areas of the city, as well as he was able to allay any concerns I had about the specific project area.
Okay, so with that, I'd entertain a motion.
I move that we approve. Sorry, I have to pull up the right agenda item. I move that we approve Wildflower Major Community Plan Amendment, Hillside Standards, Ordinance 20-29, dated today, with any findings and conditions that are attached.
I'll second.
I have a first from Councilman Porter. I think a second from Councilman Podeska.
Yes.
Any further discussion? Councilman Wilden,
Aye.
McComber,
Aye.
Karn,
Aye.
Podeska,
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. We'll move on to business item 2, the Hub at Saratoga Springs preliminary plat, Boyd Brown applicant.
Okay, this is, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, this is a commercial development in the northern part of the city. There are 6 proposed lots with this development and then pieces of a future residential street that will eventually connect across the parcels in between. Here's a close-up. The concepts that you see here are conceptual plans, and they will have to submit site plan applications for each of those lots. And the landscape plan is just for the park strips and the trail along their Redwood Road frontage at this time. And staff recommends approval with the findings and conditions in the report.
Okay, is there any, Councilman Podeska?
Yes, sir, I just had a quick question on, as far as, I know this is just concept, but with those 2 parcels being separated like that, do they have, I guess, how are the infrastructure going to be connected between the 2 with private property in between them? Are they going along Redwood to connect those, or?
I believe it's along Redwood and along the canal and through.
Okay.
East.
Okay.
Sewer below and water above.
Right. I believe that's the case. Water may be coming to the street that's in the middle of the property, and then they would extend that through easements.
So if I could chime in here, no services will be provided from Redwood Road on this. The gap will be bridged with easements for now, and then those easements will end up in a future street.
Okay.
Okay, that's all I had.
Okay. There's no other comments. I'll entertain a motion.
Well, I was just gonna say, there were a few areas here that, you know, does not comply in the report, but I see that the conditions contain requirement that those are met. So,
Right.
Go ahead. Sorry to interrupt, Mayor.
Oh, that's fine. Okay, I'll entertain a motion. Not all at once.
Okay, I move to approve business item number 2, the Hub at Saratoga Springs preliminary plat. There's no ordinance on that, so I guess approve the concept plan.
I
With staff
will,
conditions.
With findings and conditions from staff.
Okay,
Yeah.
I have a first from Councilman Podeska,
I'll second.
second from Councilman Wilden. Any further discussion on the motion? McComber,
Aye.
Karn,
Aye.
Wilden,
Aye.
Podeska,
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Mayor and council, just to address that, if I may, can I interject just really briefly? That decision was an administrative land use decision. And so we wouldn't normally do an ordinance. An ordinance would be for a legislative decision. A resolution now that can approve an administrative action. And what the state law says is the council may act through resolution for an administrative decision, but you're not required to. If you'd like, we can start including resolutions for land use decisions. That's up to you. We historically have not done resolutions to approve those administrative land use decisions, but we can if you'd like us to.
I think it's fine the way we've been doing it.
That says
Yeah.
leave it.
Agree. Thanks though, Kevin.
Thank you. Business item 3, award of contract for 2020 road maintenance. Seal coat Schedule C to Morgan Pavement.
Mayor and council, this is an item that we've addressed in your staff report. We had brought to you this item previously in July, but one of the Schedule C, when we got into the submittal process, it determined that the contractor did not meet the certifications required in the bid documents. And therefore, we've gone to the next lowest qualified bidder, to Morgan Pavement. So this item and resolution addresses that and re-awards this contract to Morgan Pavement. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
I just, out of curiosity, the certifications, are those like industry certifications? Are they just are they city requirements? What is the? I'm just trying to understand.
Yeah, good question. Without getting too technical, they are industry certifications.
Okay.
We tried, we have in the past been more specific in our seal coat specifications as far as products. We tried this year to be more general to encourage more competition. However, we wanted to make sure that we were getting, as close to possible as apples to apples bids, so that someone couldn't bring an inferior product or a company that wasn't experienced and low bid out, people that were more, knew what they were doing or had the thing. So unfortunately, that's why we felt pretty strongly that they didn't have the industry specifications that we required, and to make sure the bidding process was fair, we didn't feel that it was, that they met the thing. So unfortunately, that information wasn't provided to the city until after they had begun exchanging information with us.
Good enough. Thank you.
Okay. If there is no other questions, I'll entertain a motion on that.
I move that we award the contract for 2020 road maintenance seal coat Schedule C to Morgan Pavement Maintenance, Resolution R20-42 dated today in the amount of $89,444.42.
I'll second.
We have a first from Councilman Porter, a second Councilman McComber. Any further discussion on the motion? Councilman Podeska,
Aye.
McComber,
Aye.
Wilden,
Aye.
Porter,
Aye.
Karn.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
We'll do the minutes really quick, then jump back up. I'll entertain a motion on the minutes for August 18th, 2020.
I move
made.
approval. Oh, I'll second Michael's. Or
Okay.
Micah.
I have a first from Councilman McComber, a second Councilman Wilden. Any further discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And we will jump back up to item 5, presentation from Envision Utah.
All right, Cameron, did you want to kick us off here?
I will. Thank you very much. Mayor Miller and council members and city administrators, thank you for your time. We'll be brief. We understand we have a very limited time frame here. The Utah Valley Chamber, in conjunction with all the other chambers of commerce, BYU, UVU, and other sponsors, have launched the Valley Visioning effort. You should have all received a visioning statement of the various areas of the effort and the 6 areas of focus that it has in housing, transportation, air quality, agriculture, open space, water quality and quantity, and workforce and education. This effort is not to tell any particular community what to do, but to inform them from the viewpoint of the citizens that we have engaged in partnership with Envision Utah. over the last year, over 11,000 citizens and their input. This is meant to be a tool for you in your stewardship. And then it also informs our agenda as chambers in how we inform and pursue public policy as well as efforts on the Hill and so forth. So with that as a quick backdrop, we're here to answer really any questions. Ryan from Envision Utah has some information he can share quickly with you, but I'll take it away, Ryan.
All right, Cameron, thank you. I'll be brief. All right, so as Cameron mentioned, we kicked this thing off in fall of 2018. This has been about a 2-year process, 2-year undertaking that in phase 1 was all about listening to the public, listening to stakeholders. But let me talk a little bit about phase 2, the scenarios. Cameron mentioned that we went out and we did public workshops. We did those all around Utah County, but really asked folks how they like to see the county grow and develop as we double in population by 2050 and add 1 million by 2065. As Cameron mentioned, we did a survey. We had 11,000 people weigh in on this survey. I'm just going to do one of the questions and the result. We have many more if you're interested, but this was how and where we grow. So we asked people how and where they'd like to grow. Scenario A was all about current conditions, a baseline scenario. We looked back 20 years and looked at our growth patterns, and we projected that forward to 2050. Scenario B was about organized centers. Growth occurs in mixed-use centers near high-capacity transportation investments. Scenario C was about westward growth, growth primarily occurring west of the lake. That would be Saratoga Springs and Cedar Valley. And then scenario D, southern growth, also a lot of available land south of Provo and towards Santaquin. So scenario D tested that. And then scenario E was all about urban infill. We accommodate this growth at least as much as we could in accommodating areas, filling in those underutilized lots. And so you can see here on this slide how the public in the blue bar voted. Lots of support for that center style growth. Also a lot of support for growing westward towards Saratoga and Cedar Valley. We went ahead and backed it up, what you can see in the red bar here with a random sample. We hired Lighthouse Research to back up our survey of 11,000 people just to make sure that our survey methods were accurate. So phase 3, we took all the information that we heard in phase 1 and phase 2, and we put together a vision for phase 3. And I'm just going to quickly talk at a really high level about these overall goals. But this is what we heard. Providing convenient transportation choices, whether that's road, rail, or bus or active, support housing options, providing open space and recreation opportunities. People wanted to see support for local agriculture, especially South Valley, south end of the county. People really had goals and strategies about managing the water wisely. They wanted jobs for our kids, so they realized we needed to have a well-educated population and invest in our schools. And also clean air was one of the goals that was identified time and time again. So we do, when you do see this final vision document, we will have goals and strategies supporting each one of these goals that you see up on the screen. Obviously don't have time to get into the details now, but that's where we're going with it. And last slide here, we also have this map. It's cartoonish on purpose at a very high level because we know locals know best, and that would be, in Saratoga Springs case, the people of Saratoga, and of course the city council and mayor. But we do have identified for Saratoga Springs on this map an urban center. You can see in the purple here, and you can see all the other centers that were identified in the valley as well. Anyway, I feel like I've exhausted my time. So with that, Cameron and I are happy to entertain questions if you have any. Was that too fast?
Even if
Questions from the council?
welcome comments so that this is an informed tool and a resource for you as public servants. Again, we're not trying to tell you what to do. We honor and respect your community. But your community is part of a greater whole. And we're trying to find the common denominators and help us, excuse me, plan for the future.
Often during COVID, it's dangerous.
I have a quick question.
I'll spare you. Yeah, I have a question after Michael.
So when you said there was about 11,000 responses to the survey, right?
Yes.
Do you have a breakdown of where the majority of those responses came from? Because typically, you know, I don't respond to surveys very much with these types of things. And I'm just curious if it was mostly the Orem Provo area that responded. Was it representative of a nice spread across the whole valley? I'm just curious on that.
So initially, you're right. We did get a lot. It was a lot of people weighed in from like the Orem Provo area. So what we started to do to combat that is run ads like Facebook ads that targeted certain areas to try to equalize what we heard. So we did feel like we got a good geographic representation. We also asked by zip code so we can sort out, you know, specific Saratoga Springs answers by your zip codes. And the other thing we did was a lighthouse. We did a random sample survey that was that represented the valley as well, the county as well. So
We also hosted.
That random sample was based on population. Was it based on density? Like, I mean, because random sample, they probably did what, 200-300 surveys?
it's about 700.
700?
So based on population.
We also hosted a dozen plus town hall meetings and gatherings in various areas from the north, the south, east, and west points of the county over the course of last year. So there were also actual physical involvement in the information that we've gathered.
It's just very difficult. I don't envy your situation because it's a very diverse county. Salt Lake County is much more similar in nature across the board. There's not as much diversity. We have a lot of different varying demands, requests. You know, Spanish Fork, they want that open feel. Saratoga Springs, we've got the resort feel. Eagle Mountain wants industrial out in their valley. I mean, it's just very unique valley, so it's not homogeneous at all. And so I can only imagine how difficult it was for you to put this together. You know, we'll look at it, but obviously we hear from our residents quite a bit as well with our strategic plan and other things as well. And we're happy to share some of that feedback with you. We appreciate you sharing your feedback with us. And we're doing surveys and we have meetings for the 35 or 40,000 residents here in Saratoga Springs going on right now. So
Great.
thank you for your efforts.
No, thank you. On to the point of diversity, we love that fact. Actually, it's we want to celebrate that and the kaleidoscope of offering and color that we provide in our county. We think it's a strength. It has been challenging, but it's a great thing. Mark.
It's a strength, obvious. I'm just saying it's hard to come up with one plan because obviously in Saratoga Springs, the last thing we want is an urban center with high rises and
Agreed.
You know,
Agreed.
you know,
And
so,
I don't.
but
Think it's
Provo is looking at that, right?
Right. I don't think it's going to be one scenario over the other. I think it's
Right.
a combination of them in various areas and what makes sense in your area in Saratoga Springs and what do you want to have and how it blends into other areas. And
Yeah, perfect. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. And one thing that I wanted to just share with you, we did about an hour-long call a few weeks ago. I went through and gave them all of my red line comments. As I read through the information they provided, some of it was things that I kind of knew how you'd respond. And so I shared that feedback with them, and their presentation actually has been adjusted to address some of those comments and things. And so I think they are listening, and I think we had a great opportunity to kind of exchange some feedback. And again, some of the things, the way they were worded, had a, just a feel that I think you would have had concerns with. And so I've shared that with them, and I hugely appreciate their taking time to gather our feedback, and I've shared what I felt would likely be your comments based on how we've interacted in the past on these issues.
It's most helpful. Thank you, Mark.
My question was on those goals that you showed. I don't know if you can pull up the thing again or not, but I noticed, those are all high cost, high ticket items, or most of them are. And I just wondered what if the survey, sometimes in surveys they ask, people to allocate resources out of a kind of a zero sum model, or to say how much they're willing to pay in additional taxes and stuff to support these things. Because I mean, providing convenient transportation choices, open space and recreation, managing water, well-educated population, and clean air are all billion-dollar problems. And I'm just interested to see, what if your study addresses how people propose to pay for all of these things that they want.
Ryan, you can answer in a second, but a lot of the efforts are already underway. So it's a matter of trying to shape what is already afoot and to align the resources as they're being explored, sought after, and expended, that there's a point of connectivity and planning in a more harmonious way versus just isolated here and here where it makes no sense. And again, trying not to make one community look like another, but to accentuate that. So in take the education. I work in education, right? I was at UVU for 20 years. I'm now at Rocky Mountain University of Health Professions. Second day on the job. They haven't fired me yet. It's a good thing. And so the idea here is, how do we then as an institution align with business to meet their labor needs? We're already producing a talent. How do we shape it? How do we funnel it? Same with the other areas and aspects of this. It's a guiding, hopefully something to guide the dialogue and help make informed decisions. Ryan, do you want to add anything?
I would just say, Cameron and council, that it is also about bringing awareness to, as the legislature makes decisions, and as we can use this information to help educate the legislature as they make those decisions where the funding needs to go. So you guys all know the population shift, what historically has been Salt Lake County, where the population has been growing. They're just about built out, and that's starting to very quickly shift to Utah County. You felt that in Saratoga Springs, obviously, but it's also about bringing awareness to that and shifting the funding and the money to the appropriate places where growth is happening.
Okay.
Councilman Porter, I foresee, having a dialogue with legislators. Saratoga Springs is growing. It needs infrastructure. It needs some resource, because as we grow out, that's the pain point and pressure point. This kind of information and public input gives weight to that conversation and to their action.
I hope so.
Yeah, I do too. Fingers crossed.
I do too. I did too.
You can actually use this then to hold your legislators accountable who and say, hey, pursuant to this, what are you doing?
Right. Well, I know our legislators are working hard, but unfortunately there's only 2 of them that represent our city,
Right.
because we're still on the 2010 census counts.
That's
so
changing.
reapportionment in the state may help in some aspects of that.
The economic and political epicenter of the state is shifting south. And this is all preparatory so that when they speak, so the 2 that represent Saratoga Springs, they're not just 2 voices, they're 2 voices representing thousands who have put into this process in this voice. And so it helps them. Thank you for your time. We want to be courteous. You gave us 5 minutes, but we're answering your questions as you may have them. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, if there's no other questions, we'll move on to reports. I need to step off. So Councilman Podeska, if you could take over.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Did you have any reports before you left?
I do not. Councilman Wilden did ask a question. I guess we should ask those guys if we could get our results for Saratoga residents that were polled in that survey to see what our city said. But other than that, no, thank you, and have a good evening.
Okay.
So
Thanks, Mayor.
In answer to that, I did ask them that question when I met with them, and their response was that our results largely mirrored that of the general population as well. But if that's something that you'd like, we could certainly pull that and have them give us more details. So is that something you'd like us to follow up on?
I mean, it's always nice to have a more local snapshot, I think, of the data. You know, it may mirror what the rest of the county is saying, but it's always nice to have city
Okay.
data. Helps with everything we're doing out here.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, I will follow up with that. And Ryan, and I apologize, I spoke to the mayor a little bit about this. As far as departmental updates, with the exception of one brief one for me, we can go through those individually, or we can just answer any questions that you may have for police, building, or fire.
Okay, yeah, I guess, council, was there any questions you had regarding those department updates?
No,
I did not.
Okay.
Fantastic. If you have anything specifically, just reach out to the department individually. Otherwise, you know, we appreciate your time on that. And then
Hey, Mark, one quick question is, I think we've talked about this before. What's the status of our ladder truck?
It has been delayed through COVID. Jess, do you have an updated arrival date?
So our ladder team, our build team, consists of Chief Kenny Johnson, Blaine Coombs, and Chris Wright, who's functions as our does a lot of our preventive maintenance. They're going out, I believe it's the 21st of September for the final inspection, and we should see it hit here within 10 days or so after that.
How long
Where's
does it take to
where's
get
that being
delivery and
built,
everything?
Chief?
It's being built in Minnesota.
And then once we get it here, what has to happen to have it operational?
So it's just a matter of us tooling, putting, fitting our tools, holders, arranging the compartments, that kind of stuff.
Do
And
they
we'll
do all the-
also do some training on it. Excuse me, sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine. Do they do all the livery there at the factory then?
The delivery?
The livery, the painting, the
Oh,
emblems.
yes. Yeah. Yep. They
Okay.
do.
'Cause
They
I know
do.
a lot of times with the police, you know, we get the car and then they have to send it out to the paint shop for a couple of weeks before we
Yeah,
actually get
no.
to use it.
It'll be all striped and logoed from the factory.
Excellent.
So if you guys have ever seen someone organize and be totally geeked out about, you know, putting accessories on something, these guys are stoked to trick out that fire engine. So don't you worry, they're gonna have a great time playing with it.
When do we get to put Mark on the ladder?
Never. Not in my contract.
At least not while he's conscious.
Well, when we get that, I'd love to come take a look at it.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I think we'll do what we've done in the past when we received, you know, a new apparatus. We'll swing it by a city council meeting and come out and kick the tires before.
Gently, they're expensive.
I just had a quick question. I know it doesn't directly relate with the police, but I noticed on our website has a great picture of our officers there at Patriot Park. Do we have an update on the Veterans Memorial there that have been able to do the plaques?
They're hoping to do it this Veterans Day.
Okay.
I know we had to postpone them because there was some First Amendment issues with the first go around of forms. And
it's mostly been delayed from just a lot with the COVID stuff as well. But the plan right now is for this Veterans Day. One of the things that we're trying to work out is how to, I know this may sound silly, but who and how to mount those properly to that steel wall, and creating a template to start with, if that makes sense. We're working that out, but it should be in time for Veterans Day. They'll probably start going up before Veterans Day, but we'll do something on Veterans Day. So that's just kind of behind the scenes of what's been going on. Yeah.
So if we could get that on our calendar, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And then as far as those that are going up on Veterans Day, are those already the forms have been filled out? And so
Yeah.
those will be going up? Okay.
Yeah. So I think the way we've discussed internally to kind of handle this is, you know, at least once a year, we'll, you know, on Veterans Day, we'll do some sort of event there at the memorial, kind of recognize any new plaques. But I think as we get plaques throughout the year, we'll probably just put them up so that staff or whomever we have mounting them, most likely staff, won't have to put up a flurry of them all at once. That'll just be easier as we get them in. They can put them. We'll probably maybe have an application process once a year with deadlines because they're cheaper if you get them in bulk, if that makes sense. But you have to have a bulk of at least 50 to get some price cuts. So, and it actually, you might think you'd get a swarm of applications, but even in this first go around, with much advertising, there wasn't a huge swarm. And this was kind of my experience in my last city that I was in with a similar memorial. You get probably, you know, maybe 15 at most each time you have application deadlines. So.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other reports from council or administration at this time?
I did. One of the things that we wanted to just quickly talk about was, would the council be willing to do a kind of a few hour capital meeting? We weren't able to do our mid-year retreat and, you know, basically go out a couple weeks and schedule a capital meeting where we could meet perhaps down in the community room and kind of hammer through all of the capital issues. We talked briefly about doing that as part of a council meeting, but it's probably well worth a few hour meeting if that's something that you'd be available for.
I'm okay with
Mark,
doing
I'd be
a
in favor of
retreat.
that.
Okay, fantastic. We'll get that scheduled. I'll have Tina reach out and get some dates thrown out there for kind of a doodle poll, and we'll get that queued up. That's all I had. Thank you.
All right. Is there any
Did you
need
want to
for?
mention?
Sorry.
Sorry, Ryan. Did you want to mention the promotion ceremony that we were all able to attend for the police?
Oh, yes, thank you. Like I can't even remember yesterday. But yes, we did have a great event to swear in 3 new officers, and then also recognize Roger in his promotion to lieutenant. It was a great evening, perfect weather, and to be able to have that outside the police station as some of the council members have mentioned at that event, is a perfect backdrop in front of that new building there. And so, yeah, it was a great event attended by family members of those officers, and as well as, the chief of police and others. So we really appreciate being invited to that and then for our department continuing to grow. All right. With that, is there, I guess with no other comments or questions, was there a need for a closed session tonight? Okay, I'm getting a no from Mark. So with that, we'll go ahead and adjourn this meeting.
Yay. See you guys.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah.
Thanks.